Y'all, people are upset about this DEI bill and the federal workers going back to work. I have a couple videos that I want y'all to see that has some interesting takes. And then after that, I'll have some comments towards the end. As always, thanks for tuning in. Take a look at this.
Next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but can somebody please help me understand what the general outrage about federal employees going back to work in the office is? A lot of the commentary and discord that I'm seeing has to do with disabled people having a difficulty going into work. But what I wonder is, where did those people work before COVID? Were those same people already working in these particular departments required to come into work before COVID regulations kicked in? Like, I understand that we all got very comfortable with our work from home jobs, but if you weren't already working in a work from home position prior to COVID, did you not expect it to ever go back to normal? Were we really just banking collectively on the new normal that COVID created? But aside from the position of the employees themselves, as civilians, as tax-paying citizens, are we not on board with the effort to reduce government spending? Aren't we all on the same page about the fact that government spending is actually spending our money for resources that we often don't even have access to? I'm just really confused about the conversation. Can somebody enlighten me?
So Melania Trump has to go back to the White House. I'm from DC, so like the whole economy is just government workers. So now traffic is going to go back to LA fires. My whole life, everybody's been like, government jobs are safe. This is the first time government jobs have been dangerous and you're not in the military. All that money from benefits is going to gas now. Halal and hot dog trucks have never been so happy. Only remote work under President Trump now is going to be Fire Stick. But I'm actually happy about this because all these rich people were promoting going back to work because it'll make you happier. And now he's forcing people to go back to work, which just proves it's just about the economy and making the rich more rich. It has nothing to do with people being more social and feeling better about themselves. You're taking people out of their bathrobes and bonnets and putting them at a desk with uncomfortable suits and underwear. And the remote work for federal employees is like making your inside dog an outside dog. Taking a remote worker out of its environment is basically deportation.
Let me try to explain DI for people who don't understand DI, who don't like it. So to them, they think that all DI means is that there's an unqualified woman or unqualified person of color who's given a job or promotion and they don't deserve it. When in actuality, all that says is that instead of doing word of mouth recruitment, instead of just hiring the usual suspects, we're going to look beyond and find qualified, talented people outside the usual suspects. That's all that means. So the people they hire are qualified. It's kind of like as if you went into a town and you never got the contract because you were new to the town. And then one day they say, you know what, let's let people who aren't new to the town have opportunities. And you finally get your big shot. And you know your quality of work is better than the people who are in the town who always get the bids. And because they decide to look beyond the usual suspects, you get a bid. That's all DI is. It doesn't mean you're not qualified. It just means someone opened up the door to give you an opportunity, a chance. That's all it is. Get it? Got it? Good. Thing that what DEI has turned into is it's the N word. It's the new N word. It's an excuse for any person when they see a woman or person of color, particularly black person, in any leadership position, whether in school, whether whether it's leadership like the LA, you're heading the mayor, whether it's political, whether it's job, there's a presumption that because of your race and gender, you are unqualified. You start, and here's the thing. You guys are saying people don't believe in privilege. Privilege is the benefit of the doubt. White men, white people really, are given the benefit of doubt of being qualified for the position. If they are ever in a position, you give them the benefit of doubt that they got their job on their merits. That's a privilege. the absence of privilege is being denied the benefit of the doubt. Whenever you see a person of color, a black person, a woman, or whatever, in a position of being, you deny them the benefit of the doubt that they got their position because they were the most qualified. You automatically presume they were not the most qualified and they are taking the place of a more qualified white person. Why do you do that? Why do you trigger that? Why are you assuming? There's an assumption. You need to question yourself. Like, why do I never assume? Why do I always give the white male in charge the benefit of the doubt of them being qualified? You never think that perhaps they got there because they know someone, because someone pulled the strings, because of their connections, because of their wealth. You never ever think that they're less qualified or they don't deserve the position. And I can tell you, if you go out in the workplace and you survey workplaces from different industries, you are going to find a lot of white males who have got positions and they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're relying on their black or people of color or women or disabled or veteran or religious diverse people in their support position who knows more than them. So there are a lot of white males who are right now in positions of power that they have no reason being. But people like you would never question whether or not they're the thing. You will give them the privilege, the benefit of the doubt that they belong there. You would never question that. You only question it when you see a black woman or a person of color position and you would say, oh, you got that position. You must not belong there. It must have been given to you because you're race and color. That is racist. That is sexist. I know a lot of people who attack DI believe they're good people and think they're, no, because for years and years and years and years and years, and it continues to be, just because we do see like an attempt to broaden the scope and include other people, you think that, oh, they're being anti-white men. But listen here, if you were to go do the research and look at the top echelon of the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, the wealth graph, the home ownership, Senate, the House of Representatives, lawyers, accountants, doctors, it's going to be full of white people. It's going to be full of other people, because like the doctors going to be full of Asian people. But it's going to be black people who you're attacking are not going to be, they're going to be underrepresented. A lot of these folks from religious minorities, whatever like that, they're going to be underrepresented. They're still at the bottom here. They're just scrapping. You see them getting scraps, like people looking to say, hey, let's open up, we include all these people. Let's see if there's any talented people from the pool of folks that aren't representative. Let's look to see if there's a pool. You see the efforts to look at them, to notice that they're not there and say, hey, let's take a look. All DEI is taking a look at the talented people who may have gotten overlooked and saying, let's look at the pool right there. Why do you always presume that the folks who that they're looking at are not qualified? They're not going to pull up people who aren't qualified. They're going to say, hey, let's just look. And all they're doing is saying, let's just look. When they look, they just say, wow, look at that. The biggest example is the current defense secretary, Lloyd Austin. If you look at his resume, go look at his resume. I think the military.gov has a list of his resume. It's like 3 pages long. The person who Donald Trump proposes to replace him with, Pete Hegseth, did 1 tour of duty in Iraq, 1 tour of duty in Cuba. He was a leader both times and he won the award. That's it. You would never say, hey, is Pete Hegseth qualified? You would assume, if you see Pete Hegseth with a job, you would assume he was the most qualified person for the job. He is not. Lloyd Austin, who has a long list of stuff, you would never question whether Lloyd Austin got his qualifications and was the most qualified. He is. But because he's black, you would say, oh, he only got the job because of his race. You would ignore the fact, you would deny him the benefit of the doubt of being the most qualified, but give Pete Hegseth the benefit of the doubt of being most qualified, simply because of the fact that you give him a privilege. He had the privilege of have the benefit of the doubt. That's all. That's all. And so DI is just saying, let's look at these other people. And y'all knee-jerk is saying, oh, it's anti-white, or it's not qualified. That's just because y'all racist into the story and sexist. That's it. And
Okay, so let's get into it. I personally can understand it from both sides, only because I have worked in areas where, they allowed me to work from home. And I have worked in areas where they were on you. Like, they wanted to make sure that you was getting the work done. So when it comes down to the federal workers, I understood certain arguments, as like one lady mentioned, well, like, what about the fact that a lot of the buildings were shut down? And what about the fact that there's nowhere for people to work because they closed these buildings and these offices and whatever? And how bringing everyone back to work. Where are they going to go? Blase, blase. But then I understood the other point when it was people saying like, well, you getting paid to do a job, and the fact that, a lot of people in these positions are working from home and they tend to not give the best service or customer service. One person mentioned how the phone always ringing, nobody answer. And I'm like, because I ain't gonna lie, I remember being in a remote position, and yeah. So it's like, I kind of see it from both sides, honestly. I do. I feel as though, dang, like firing all them people like that. I just was thinking about the unemployment, even if it's paid leave. You don't know what paid leave. I never forget my last job. They did a mass firing and they gave them paid leave. It was only good enough for like a month. But I guess some of y'all be like, oh, well, that's more than enough time to find another job. Hey, nowadays it's hard to find a job. I don't know. It depends what field you're looking in. But those Indeed ain't Indeed like it used to. Okay. Especially if your resume isn't up to par, Indeed is not your friend. But that was another part that was brought up, is the fact that a lot of people assume that the DEI is only for women and black people, or people of color, as they like to say, but mainly black people and brown people, and how they aren't thinking about the disabled people and the veterans that also are qualified under the DEI, who will now not be able to work. But then on the other side, because he keeps saying merit, it's like, well, the other argument is, well, we want to make sure that the best person has the job, and they're not just being given the job just to fit, a need, or, to fit a check mark, to make sure you have these certain individuals working here. That's not fair to a person that's qualified. But then on the other side, y'all, because it's always two sides. The other side is saying, yeah, but now it's just going to just be given to people they think looks good for the position. Like the lady mentioned, how you do have people, talking about black people, who are way overqualified and they do not get those jobs. Whereas the DEI made it available for them to be at least considered for the job and not just judged on the contents of their skin color. I probably said that wrong. But anyway, overall, I mean, listen, this is going to be an interesting 4 years. That's all I'm going to keep saying. This 4 years is going to be interesting. Like, I'm already looking into herbal remedies, like, shoot, canning, because you don't know what's about to happen. Like, you better stay ready, so you have to get ready. Now ain't the time to be splurging. Now is not the time to be buying stuff. Now is the time to be saving, because people losing their jobs left and right, and you don't even know if you're going to be next, if where you work at might be the next go to. So I mean, it's sad, but hey, we just living on this Monopoly board while the rich play with our lives. That's what it's looking like to me. But let me know y'all thoughts in the comments down below. Like, do you think it's a bit harsh? Do you think it's warranted? Like, do you think we are better off without the DEI and the help that it allowed a lot of people, not just people of color, but people who are disabled, people who are veterans? It was a system that helped a lot of people. Mainly, I ain't gonna get into that. But let me know your comments down below. And as always, thanks for tuning in.